For 2 years, we followed this small, spirited boy's big, brave battle against cancer. Tonight, we see how he is now, and we get an update on a therapy that's saving lives. This is What Matters. Good evening, I'm Kathy Lewis. Last year at about this time, we introduced you to Jake Ralston. Jake was adopted at birth in 2005, and about a month after his second birthday, he went from complaining about back pain to not being able to stand up. Well, the pain was from a spinal tumor diagnosed as Ewing sarcoma, and over the next year, Jacob had 14 chemotherapy treatments and 25 proton beam treatments at Houston's MD Anderson Center. Yes, indeed you did. That intensive and dramatic treatment seems to have worked, as you can probably tell. Jacob gets scanned every 3 months, and the Ralstons heave a huge sigh of relief when they get that report that reads, NED, no evidence of disease. The Ralstons are champions of proton therapy, particularly for children. Little did they know at the time, Hampton University was in the process of bringing proton therapy to Hampton Roads. Lisa Godley has the latest on HU's journey to becoming a destination for people seeking proton therapy.
It's called the Gantry Room, the place where patients will receive their proton therapy treatments. Right now, it looks like something out of a Star Wars epic. Even the name of the machine used to deliver the proton beam sounds like something right out of a sci-fi movie, the cyclotron. But when it's finished, this is all the patient will see. The Institute's scientific and technical director, Dr. Cynthia Keppel, says the process takes between 15 and 20 minutes. The majority of that time is spent positioning the patient.
Which means they're going to come in, they're going to get up on the couch or the bed that sits on top of the robot, and they're going to have some, what we call a mobilization, sort of a beanbaggy thing, or the air is pulled out of it via vacuum, and so it kind of fixes them in space, and we drive them on into position for the beam, and then we verify where the tumor is relative to the patient.
Once everything is in place, it only takes 45 seconds to a minute to deliver the dose. This happens 5 days a week for up to 6 weeks. Some call proton therapy the silver bullet because it only attacks the cancerous tumor and leaves the body's healthy organs alone. This is much different from radiation and chemotherapy, where the treatment runs through the patient's entire body, targeting the cancer and healthy organs alike, usually draining the patient of their energy.
And one of the most dramatic, for me personally, experiences I had was chatting with a teenage girl who was getting treatment at the Florida Proton Center. And I was asking her about her experience and just, trying to get the patient perspective. And she was very positive. And she said, in fact, she not only did she not feel anything, that her headaches went away after the first few days of her treatment. And she was feeling better than she had in months and months and months. And that's because, of course, the tumor was in her brain. And so it was shrinking. And so all that pressure on her brain was going down, down, down over the course of her treatment.
The Institute is divided into 2 sections. The clinic side is where people coming in for the first time can learn if proton therapy is for them. And the treatment side. The treatment side is where the cyclotron is housed. It will create and deliver proton beams to patients. The beam can be piped into 5 different treatment rooms, which will allow the Hampton University Proton Treatment Institute to treat over 2,000 patients a year. We asked Dr. Keppel how proton compares with other treatments when it comes to cost. While the amount varies based on the location and size of the tumor, this is how things add up when it comes to your standard treatment. Conventional radiation will run you about $15,000. Proton therapy costs 3 times as much, about $45,000. While chemotherapy is more than twice the cost of proton therapy at about $100,000. Because Hampton Roads leads the nation in prostate cancer deaths, about 65% of the caseload here will be treating prostate cancer. The remaining 35% will go toward treatments for things like breast cancer, lung cancer, and pediatric cancer. The Hampton University Proton Therapy Institute is scheduled to open in August of 2010. When it does, it will be the 8th facility of its kind in the country and the largest freestanding facility for proton therapy treatment in the world. For What Matters, I'm Lisa Godley.
Thank you, Lisa, and we are glad to have with us tonight some folks that you will enjoy getting an update on. We are so happy to have Dr. Cynthia Keppel with us tonight. She's the Hampton University's Proton Therapy Institute director, and she's joining us tonight along with Susan and Jim Ralston. And of course, I know you will well remember Jacob. Nice to have you all with us tonight. It's good to see you.
Thank you. Thank you.
We'll start with Jacob because he's been really patient, and so maybe we'll start. May I ask you a couple of questions, Jacob?
Yep.
Perfect. How's everything been going? Are you feeling good? And how about, you have a new vest this year, which you did not have last year.
No.
And tell us about the vest. It's got camouflage on it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Can we see it? Would you mind? Wow, that's neat. And that's helping your back stay a little bit straighter, right? That's a good thing. Now, since last you and I talked, you've now gone to school. You're in school. And where are you going to school now?
Bay Lake Pine.
Got it. And how many people are in your class?
1, 2, 10.
10 altogether. So what kinds of things are you doing in school?
Well, I'm just learning.
Just learning stuff. It's all good. Yeah.
What are you learning?
L.
Yeah?
I mean, M.
M?
I forgot.
Yeah, well, they're kind of confusing, aren't they? Now, you've been on a lot of trips lately, haven't you? You've been doing a lot of traveling.
Yep.
And where did you go and what did you do?
But the first time I went to Disney World,
Yeah,
then
fun.
I went to a different place. I don't know what I did. I forgot the name.
Yeah.
Chicago.
Chicago.
Yeah.
It was so good.
What did you like about Chicago? It's very cold there, isn't it?
Yeah, but the last time in Disney World, I didn't like the characters.
Really? Sometimes they can be a little scary, right?
Right.
Yeah. And you have 2 dogs at home, right? And what are their names again?
Murphy and Costello.
Murphy and Costello. Those are great names. So when we finish here, I think you're going to go ride your bike with your mom and dad, right?
Yep.
Okay, so what we'll do is get our work done quickly so that you can go do that. So I'm going to ask your mom and dad a couple of questions, and Dr. Keppel too, okay? And if you have anything you want to say, just go ahead and say it, okay? Because we talked about this beforehand.
Okay.
Great. Thank you, Jake. I'm so glad to see you again. Susan, you've been so busy since the last time we met with, first of all, he looks fabulous.
Thank you.
And
yeah.
so charming.
He's enjoying very good health right now, so
That's
we're really
great.
happy about
That's
that.
great.
His last scans were clean, and we have scans coming up in January, but everything is going well.
Good. And of course, the brace is helpful to keep his back straight and hopefully maybe to avoid surgery.
Right. Yeah, eventually we do know that he'll need spinal fusion surgery, but we're hoping to keep him braced for as long as possible so that he'll have years to grow and develop. So by the time he has surgery, it'll have, hopefully it'll be his only surgery that he would need.
That would be great. And I know that you've been so actively involved in trying to bring proton therapy to other children.
Yes, yeah, we started a foundation, the Pediatric Proton Foundation,
And that's an amazing thing.
Yeah, we finally got incorporated, and we actually got our nonprofit status in September.
Yeah.
So we started a website, and we're actually working with parents and trying to give them help at different stages throughout the process to help them with their children being diagnosed with cancer and hopefully getting proton treatment.
Because you were telling me that this is obviously, if you get this news about your child, it's a very frightening thing. And you don't necessarily think parents are always introduced to all of the options that are available.
That's true. The parents are very much overwhelmed with the diagnosis itself, and then you're given a lot of information to digest in a very short period of time. But most children, if you have a solid tumor, a tissue tumor, or a tumor of an organ, most likely in the protocol that will include radiation as part of the protocol. So at that point is when the parent needs to think about proton, because there is a limited supply of proton centers in our country, meaning there's a limited supply of openings for pediatric patients. So the sooner they get on the bandwagon, so to speak, to try to get that treatment, the more likely they are to receive it.
And the reason that you were so interested in this, you and Jim were so interested, and Jim, I'm not ignoring you. I know you have your hands full there for a second. The reason that you were so interested in this for Jacob is because of its ability really to focus in on the trouble area.
Exactly. The beauty of proton treatment is it has no entrance dose and it has no exit dose. It actually goes into the tumor bed and it stops. The machine has a compensator, and it really controls the depth of the radiation going into the body. And with Jake's tumor being on his spine and having the heart, lungs, and so many critical organs around the spine, we wanted to kill the tumor, but we didn't want to hurt all the rest of his growing tissue. So that's why Proton was really perfect for Jacob's case, being that he was 2 years old at the time, and the location of the tumor, and the type of tumor that it was. Yeah. So it was really a 10 out of 10 for Jacob to get that treatment.
And so you're really trying to make sure that other parents are aware at least of the option so that they can talk with their physicians and their community and figure out whether it is a good option for their children.
Right, and the website that I designed hopefully provides them all the information they would need as a parent. I have videos, I have success stories from other children, and a variety of scientific articles related to different tumor types.
Right.
So just a variety of information that would hopefully help the parent be in the driver's seat when it comes to what kind of treatment they're gonna get for their child to get cancer.
It's such a great point, because now 2 years later, Jacob. Hey, Jacob. You know what? I was thinking about last time we met. I think it might have been summer, and we weren't thinking about Christmas at that point. But I know that you are looking for a visit from Santa Claus. Is that right? Yeah, that's going to be kind of neat. Now, what kind of toys are you looking for Santa to bring?
I don't know.
You had a big long list before we started up.
Yeah.
Yeah? It was a Transformer. I remember Transformer was on there, yeah? So, well, good. I think that'll be great. And it's not long to wait now.
And the first time I scraped off some, and the other time, and the first time, I was being awesome good for Christmas, and I didn't scrape anything.
Yeah, I think what Jacob's talking about is he has understood part of the Santa story, which is that you know, the whole naughty or nice thing. So I think that's kind of what he's talking about, that he's really trying hard to be nice.
The red-nosed reindeer had a very shiny nose. If you ever saw it, don't you ever say it glows. All the other reindeers used to call them names. What's the rest of
They
them?
never let poor Rudolph join in any reindeer games. Then one cloudy Christmas Eve, Santa came to say, Rudolph, with your nose so bright, won't you guide my sleigh tonight? Then how the reindeer loved him, as they shouted out with glee, Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer, you'll go down in history. Yay us. Well
I
done.
love that movie.
You do?
It's
really good. It is a really good movie. Really good. Okay. I'm so glad you're with us today. Dr. Keppel, we are getting a proton therapy center at Hampton University. I say we, at Hampton University. We in the region are getting that. It's an exciting thing. So where are you on the progress of construction, and how quickly will that be coming to fruition?
Well, we're planning to treat patients in August of 2010.
Wow.
So we've been gearing up for a while. The building's done, the equipment's in. It's a lot of complicated high-end technology, and so we've been kind of building that ship in a bottle. And all of our equipment's in. Well, about 97% of our equipment's in, and we're testing and calibrating and getting ready to prepare for those patients.
Sure, that's going to be great. Are you already getting interest in it? Because I'm guessing as more people learn more about Proton, I'm guessing that you're getting more interest in this from people probably calling and just saying, hey, when is it going to be available?
We are. Yeah. Right now, as I said, we're not starting a wait list for patients yet. We've been referring them to physicians and other Proton centers, and providing information as we can. But yeah, the phone lines are getting a little lit up.
Yeah. Now, Susan was talking about this, and I think this is such an interesting point about the physician relationship here, that not every physician is automatically hugely enthusiastic about Proton as an option. I mean, that's just a fact. We know that parents have said this. So what are you doing in the local physician community to try to let folks in this community be aware of Proton, what its options are, and what its possibilities are?
We're trying to do a few things. One of them is just basic education. Protons are still new and unusual. It's very expensive to put up a center, so there's not a whole lot of them yet. And so part of it's just education, explaining why it's so great, what cancers it's appropriate for. The targeting, and letting people know about our center in particular, what we plan to offer, who would like to treat. Another aspect of it too, though, is actually bringing high-end health care to Hampton Roads. roads. We have a high quality of care now.
Right.
This is really, you know, at the highest end period in the whole world. And so what we're trying to do is work with our local healthcare community, because patients will come in from all over the place. Just as Susan went to Texas, people will come to Virginia.
Great.
And so we're helping our community get ready for the things that we don't do, all the adjuvant care.
Yeah, that's such a good point, because I don't think we really have that sense of what it's going to mean yet as a community. So that's going to be very exciting. Okay, Jake, can I talk to you one more time?
Yep.
Because I can feel that you're wanting to get re-engaged here. Are you okay?
Yeah, but I just want a drink.
You want a drink? I'm going to take care of that for you.
Okay.
I'm going to take care of that for you. We're going to ask somebody to get you a drink. And what we'll do is we'll have them get it, and right after we're finished, we'll go ahead and it'll be waiting for you when we're done. How about that? Because I think they're working on the cameras now, so I don't know they can get it right now.
Okay.
But we will get it. Now tell me about your bike. I know you really like to ride bikes.
My bike is new, and one is my Omo bike. And if I could get that other seat on my Omo seat and the other seat on my new seat, then I could get the other one to my baby Sarah. But I can't. I fall down.
So we have a seat problem here, Jim. Clarify for us. What's going on with the bike seat, my friend?
We got a new bike, and it has the seat is a little bit more cushiony, so he sits up higher and can't get his, because we're no longer on training wheels.
Oh,
we have.
Jake, you didn't tell me that. You got your training wheels off? Ooh, I'm so impressed.
Yeah, we have a bunch of neighbors about his age that all ride without training wheels, so there's a lot of.
I can't believe I can't put the other one on my other one and put my other one on my other one. Then I get.
It would be. I think Jake is just as right as rain. I really do. So he's switching some bike seats so that he can give another bike seat to another child.
So once he gets to where the new seat can go back on the new bike, then we have his spare bike that we're going to give to one of his little friends.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice.
And what's her name that you want to give the bike to?
Baby Sarah.
Oh, that will be nice.
I'm her brother.
You're a very thoughtful and considerate person. You really are. Now, when you went to Chicago, did you do some did you do some television and some radio work while you were in Chicago, or?
I actually just did some homework.
Some homework, okay. Yeah. But have you been on? You've been doing a lot of radio shows and television shows, haven't you?
Yep.
And is that pretty fun? I bet. I bet. Tell us about the brace, because I know you, Jim, I think were the one who went and really kind of worked along the lines of trying to get the brace that was right. And that was really quite a journey.
Yeah, it's been the person that does the orthotics. Okay, Jake.
Thank you.
The orthotics that he goes to is up in Richmond, so we have to travel, up to Richmond about 2 hours to get it done. And primarily what he has going on is scoliosis and kyphosis, which is the humpback. And since we've had the brace since February of last year, or this past year, I'm sorry, his scoliosis hasn't changed much significantly. His kyphosis has relatively got a little bit worse, but it's been being maintained, excuse me, to where the doctors just want to keep an eye on it, and once the numbers indicate that something has to be done. But like Susan said, if we can keep it
we hope that's way down the road.
Yeah, age 10, 12 years old. That's ideal.
Sure. Well, so Susan, this cancer, it's a lifelong disease. And so I wonder, when you first got the word about that, of course you had to figure out what kind of treatment was going to be appropriate. But then there's also, at some point, somebody's got to mention something to you about how are you going to pay for this?
Well, that's true. And insurance is obviously key, and I think from a parent standpoint, when you have a child, you don't necessarily think about that child having a disease like cancer. So in our case, we had an HMO plan, and we were both very healthy.
Young, healthy, with a child who's healthy?
Yeah, he was born perfect, APGAR 10, so everybody, he's perfect. So yeah, I've learned that insurance, to dig a little bit deeper into my insurance plan, and I've switched my plan from an HMO to a PPO because it does give me flexibility to go to different specialists.
So what does the PPO give you that the HMO wouldn't in terms of flexibility?
Well,
you could choose your provider?
Well, exactly. You can choose the provider, and for example, in the HMO, most of the treatment then would be local. So if you're trying to seek a treatment like Proton that's not available in the local market, it becomes more of a fight to try to get that treatment.
And that's such a good point, because and I'm thinking about how much you've learned about the system. I'm just stunned by the amount of information you've learned from that first terrible day when you got this diagnosis to now. And one of the things I know you're very concerned about is letting people know about this option, and also about the insurance connected to it, and what those implications are, because you're really dealing with a very strict timetable in some cases.
Yes, that's true. The protocol in treatments that typically, for a child, when they need radiation treatment as part of their protocol, is usually fairly early on, maybe in the 4th to 8th week from diagnosis. So that means you have to have your insurance approval, you have to be accepted into a Proton center. You have to have your travel arrangements made. I mean, you really have to be on this. This isn't something you can think about a month into it. You're not going to get it if that's the case. You really have to be on it within that first week of diagnosis and start making phone calls, start making the connections that you need to determine if this is going to be the right treatment. And that's why I built the website, because it will lead the parent through every step that they need to take, including how to deal with their insurance company. And if they do get denied, how to appeal and how to get that approved. And you know, we have a lot of information to help parents.
As you think about this health care plan, which is being hotly debated, and we record this program a tiny bit ahead of time, and on this day that we're recording it, the Senate has dropped the public option, so it's still in some stage of flux. So by the time this airs on December 18th, it could be completely different. You know, we don't know. But what do you see in this plan that's related to Proton? Is there anything?
Well, the one thing that I do know is the Obama administration is doing some effectiveness studies, and one of the things that has risen to the top 10 is Proton treatment in regards to prostate cancer treatment, not in regards to pediatrics. It's pretty much everybody across the board pretty much agrees in the pediatric world that Proton is the radiation of choice due to the way it, you know, there's no exit dose, and the fact that it's very isolated and doesn't hurt the healthy tissue. But I suppose the older you get, that particular argument may not be as impactful as it would be at a child, obviously. So
some of those discussions are underway.
Yes, exactly.
So in the year since we last visited, and by the way, we should note that Jake is now out in the lobby looking at the Christmas tree, so you know, he's out there having a good time. So that's why you're not hearing him at the moment. In the year that you've been at this, what are the lessons that you take out of it?
Well, you have to be an advocate for your child, and if it's your health, you need to be your own advocate. There's nobody in this world that cares about your child's health as much as the parent. And I've learned that the doctors are very busy, they have a big patient load. You can't, you know, whereas you're kind of devastated and you really are very, you know, emotional during this time. It's really, I try to encourage parents, there's plenty of time later for the emotion. You've got to get the treatment. You've got to be your child's advocate. And for children that have older parents that try to help them with the treatment, it's really the same thing. You've got to be there. You've got to ask for the things that you think you deserve, the best treatment for your child. And you need to have a good reason given to you why you can't have it. And typically there aren't very many good reasons, to be honest. Unless it's a particular cancer, and of course Dr. Keppel would speak to that. But there's definitely, you know, certain tumors that aren't, you know, responsive as well to certain radiation treatments.
And the point is to get in there and check it out. I want to thank all of you for being with us, and thank you for particularly Jim for bringing Jake and for having him on your side of the table. You did a wonderful job, and I am confident that Santa will have a good report for us from the Ralston household. I'll be back in just a moment with a final thought. Jake Ralston is a fan of pirates. In fact, matey, he was one for Halloween this year. And pirates have arrived at Nauticus, just one of several remarkable opportunities you have over this holiday season here in Hampton Roads. The Widow was a three-masted galley ship first used in the Atlantic slave trade until she was commandeered by pirates. With a ship full of treasure, the Widow sank in a violent storm off Cape Cod. 200 artifacts from the ship are on display at Nauticus through April in an exhibit that challenges our traditional views of piracy. And if you can't get there during the day, there's Pirates After Dark, a unique opportunity to have a drink and a snack and tour the exhibit in the evening. Nearby at the Chrysler, and that is also leaving, by the way, at the end of the year, it is a not-to-be-missed exhibit, To Live Forever, Egyptian Treasures from the Brooklyn Museum. The Chrysler is the only Mid-Atlantic venue for this exhibit, and again, it leaves in the very first few days of the new year, and it promises to be one of the most extraordinary the museum has ever hosted. Down the road in Virginia Beach, the Virginia Aquarium's new expansion is finished, and they're open for business. 4 immersive habitats are yours to experience, and if you've been to the aquarium before, don't think you've been there and done that. After a $25 million renovation, the Virginia Aquarium has dozens of new exhibits and 110,000 gallons of new aquariums. Across the harbor in Newport News, they're so close to their $500,000 goal to retire the debt from their last expansion at the Virginia Living Museum. The VLM got caught in the economic downturn and their bankers called the loan. An enormously generous donor stepped up and offered a 2-to-1 match to get people to open their wallets by the end of the year, and it looks like it just might work. The Virginia Living Museum has an exhibit that will be leaving in the new year about the largest shark that ever lived. I think Jake would enjoy that. The exhibit's from the Florida Museum of Natural History, and it has you entering the exhibit through the life-size mouth of the shark. Wow. So if you need to get your holiday visitors out of the house and into something fun, we've given you just 4 great options. And those are just museums and the aquarium. There's so much to do in this area. Your757.com is your source for that. And I will remind you again how lucky we all are to live in Hampton Roads. Well, you can watch past editions of our What Matters broadcast at whatmatters.tv. That's where you can sign up for our e-bit, where we let you know what else we have going on. And I certainly hope you'll join us on the radio dial for Hearsay every weekday, noon to 1 on 89.5 WHRV Public Radio for Hampton Roads. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Kathy Lewis. We'll see you next time for another look at What Matters.